Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 50, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan. I'm joined once again by my good friend Brian Hall.
Hey, 50.
I know. Sean Coyle, unfortunately, could not be here with us. He is actually in space fighting zombies.
It's true. So,
figure that
honestly, you guys should thank him. Every single one of you should thank him next time.
So Brian, 50 episodes, kind of a big deal.
50 episodes. And I think we should actually say where Sean is this week. Sean now has a second child in his household. So his wife gave birth to a son. So congratulations to Sean, we should say.
Yeah.
On that and the space zombies.
I just want to point out that the day after my wife had her baby a few months ago, I came on and I did the show with you guys.
Yeah.
I just want to point that out.
I think my if I had a nickname in quotes in between, it'd be Brian Neutral Friend Hall. I take no sides.
Brian Switzerland Hall.
Yeah, exactly.
So now this is our 50th episode, and I think it is worth pointing out sort of what our intention was when we started the show, and kind of what it's become as we've done it for the past just under 2 years now.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of cool. So yeah. Brian, how did this show all start? Because the show started with you and I.
Yes, it started with. Well, I think you and I were getting into podcasts, and we were listening to them, and we enjoyed the format, and we started noticing that we would have these conversations, just about movie-related things, just you and I, and we're like, hey, this is a podcast, so why not record it and force other people to listen to what we're saying?
And force them we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the idea of like, hey, we should do this, and then I talked to you on the phone. We were kind of throwing it out, and then we were like, all right, we'll do it, and we didn't do anything with it for several months.
Yeah.
And I really have to give credit here to, of all people, Kevin Smith, who I happened to read or listen to his audiobook called Tough Shit.
Yeah,
that's his book. But he talked about how he started doing the podcast because he was like, I just wanted a chance to be able to talk with my friends. And I realized, certainly for me, ever since I had kids, it's hard to make time for us. It's hard to make time for just being able to hang out with each other and do that. So the fact that we were able to do that, I think it's fun for me. It's fun for me to I have something to look forward to where I get to just talk with you and people enjoy listening. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's been fun, and it's been really cool thinking of the first thing that we ever did, which was just basically talking on the phone to each other over a Skype session and recording it, and then I don't know, I think you listen to those first episodes and they're really rough, and actually you were always really good at segues. That's just something you were born with, but like I think, sort of figuring out the format of the show and improving the quality of the show, even just technically. And finding our own voice, I think, has been. Actually, thinking of this episode in particular, walking out of Transformers 4, I was thinking I have no idea how to review this film. But then I was like, you know what? We don't review films. We have conversations.
That's right.
About films, and I was like, and that's what I kind of like. Like we don't. I don't feel like we get down on things and pick things apart necessarily. We just talk about what we saw and what we thought, and. I like it. It's just friends having a conversation, and I've had people tell me who listen to the show that they feel like it's just that. They're listening to friends have a conversation, and they feel like I guess I've heard people yell back at us in their cars. So that's good. That's a good thing.
I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, given that this show is about us, but it's also about the audience, I wanted to jump into some listener letters, and we've had quite a few build up, so I wanted to pick at least a couple of these. Mm-hmm. For a couple of these are from our Facebook page. This is a question from Imran, and I thought I'd ask you. You might be better equipped to answer this. Oh. He asks, who and what are studio writers?
Who and what are studio writers?
I think as opposed to independent writers. What is a studio writer?
I will be completely honest and say I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you go back in time a little bit to like the 50s and
which I do often.
Yeah,
I'm not treated well in the 50s. I think it's worth pointing out.
No. Like actors, like MGM had contract players. Like actors had contracts to MGM and things like that. I guess I don't know if that still happens necessarily. I mean, I guess we had just talked about this with Mark Webb in the Spider-Man movies, where I guess he had a contract with Fox and he owed them a movie, but they let him out of it to do Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be completely honest. I don't know. Like, I know television shows have staff writers,
right?
And so they're a part of a collective and they put the show on. But as far as films, I guess I'm just saying I'm admitting I don't really know that of any writers that are necessarily contracted to a studio just to work on whatever picture the studio puts in front of them.
Yeah, that seems like an artifact of a bygone era.
Yeah, but then again, if this is coming from something like a story that they had read or whatever, if they wouldn't mind, send in a follow-up question, and I'd love to know a little bit more about what they mean.
I'm sure they will. So
yeah.
This is a question from Sabina, and this one I know you can answer. She says, was I the only one a little disappointed by Arrested Development's return?
Huh. Yeah, no. I think it was one of those things, and I think it's inevitable when you have something like that show or whatever beloved cult thing that you like, and then everybody's like, oh, just make one more movie, oh, just make another season, oh, just like when you have the fervor that show did for those things, it's impossible to live up.
Yeah.
First of all, it's just never going to live up to what you imagine in your head because you've had so much time being like, oh, Arrested Development movie. But yeah, I appreciate how it was different, and they knew that they were going to drop all the episodes at once, so they made it basically, I can't remember how many episodes it was, but they all were, it was basically like a long movie, right? And it was just like things just kept overlapping one another, and it really worked better together than it did as individual episodes. And so I appreciate what they tried to go for, but yeah, I guess it just, we loved the first few seasons because we discovered them and we enjoyed them discovering them, but then we had too much anticipation.
And then that ruined everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, and maybe it just didn't match what had come before. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I mean, there's inevitable letdown, I think.
She also asked a follow-up. She says, on a show such as with the Arrested Development,
Aries. I'm an Aries.
You're an Aries, is that what she said?
Yeah, that's to her follow-up question.
Oh, well, this wasn't directed to you specifically, but she says on a show such as Arrested Development, is the whole season written in one go, or do they write as they air? And with a show like that, with a question like that, rather, I turned to our friend Samir Gardezi, who writes for Modern Family, and I asked him his take.
Mm-hmm.
And he says it depends on the air date. Mid-season and cable are generally all canned before it airs. Fall season, you're about a month ahead at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems like a pressure cooker to me. Either way, either if you have the whole season done, or if you're kind of just keeping one step ahead.
Yeah.
This is a question, again, to you, Brian, from Bushra. She says, as a Richard Linklater fan, I was wondering how you all feel about his movies and what you think about Boyhood, his upcoming movie, which he filmed over 12 years ago.
I'm glad that was brought up because I was talking to some people at work today, and out of all the summer movies coming out, that's the movie I'm most looking forward to. Is
Boyhood. That right?
Yeah, and I had to explain to the people I work with what it was. But yeah, so for those who don't know, Richard Linklater, who did Dazed and Confused and Waking Life, and I guess he did School of Rock also, and yeah, he makes these kind of cool. Bernie did, I think, was his last movie. He made this movie called Boyhood, and what the whole thing is I guess so. It's 12 years. 12 years ago, he got Ethan Hawke and a couple actors, and then he hired a child actor who is like a tween, I think, at the time. And he just, for a couple days every year, he would shoot little stories, little vignettes, and capture these moments in time. And so, then shut down. I guess he had like $100,000 or something like that, or maybe $200,000 to work with a year. Just shot, whatever, little segments. And he did it every single year as this boy grew up. And so this year, he's finally compiled it all together into a movie that, from what I understand, is about 2 hours, 45 minutes. So it's pretty big. But I'm happy to hear that it actually works. Like, it actually works as a story. And apparently it's pretty moving. So yeah, again, not to dog on the movie we're going to talk about tonight, but like I'm really excited to see something that inventive and unique. I've never seen anything like that before, but the fact that it sounds like it also works makes me very excited to check that out. That comes out, I feel like, a week or two, like mid-July. So we'll definitely be talking about it here on the show.
So that answers that, and then I've got one. Well, actually, before I get to this one, I want to point out the many messages I received asking if I was drunk or had suffered some kind of a head wound in our last episode, because I kept referring to, kept referring to how to train your dragon as how to train a dragon, and I was kind of talking all over myself over that.
Yeah.
And the reason, you have to realize, I am an alcoholic, really. There's just no other explanation. No,
this is why we do this. I'm Zaki's sponsor, and we thought like a hobby would be good. So,
no, when we recorded that day, let me lay out my schedule. I had class at 8. I met a student at 10. I interviewed the Jersey Boys at 12. I had another class at 2, and then another class at 6, and then I came home and recorded the show.
Hey,
that was my day.
That'll happen.
So by the time we were actually sitting and recording, I was barely conscious, and I had one nostril full of cocaine. That's basically. So
that's what we call movie film fuel.
That's right, movie fuel. It is, of course, How to Train Your Dragon to. I'm fully aware of that. I'm not a drooling moron. That is the title. So to every dozen of you who sent me angry messages / laughing messages, that is the title, and I stand corrected. Yeah. But this question is from David, who is one of our regulars, and he says, Zaki, with the new Planet of the Apes movie coming out, I want to go through the Apes series. As the biggest Apes fan I know, which ones do you recommend? And the answer is, of course, all of them. Hello. I would say if you're going to be watching Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, you should definitely watch Rise of the Planet of the Apes first. I'm assuming you've seen that. And I would suggest watching the original Planet of the Apes, the 1968 one. I love the entire series. I love the sequels. I don't necessarily think you need to watch those as it pertains to these new films, but definitely watch the 1968 original. It is. It is obviously the tree from which all of this all sprang. So do watch that. And by the way, speaking of Planet of the Apes, just worth mentioning, I have seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I have seen it. You have not. I just want you to take that in. This is why I'm better than you.
Yeah, but it's not like you went to like the premiere with all the stars or anything.
Oh, didn't I? This past Thursday in San Francisco, I have to say, in our next episode, we're going to have my interview with Matt Reeves, who directed the film, and it's a fantastic interview. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. But just to tease that a little bit, this past Thursday, they had the global world premiere of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I was invited to go. And it's one of those moments in your life where you're just like, how did I end up here? How did this happen? I mean, it blows my mind. 20 years ago, literally 20 years ago, I put out this Planet of the Apes fanzine. And when you're in high school and you're putting out anything Planet of the Apes related, that's basically a sign that says, hey, ladies, stay away. That's what that is. Ladies, you don't want this. That's actually what that's the equivalent of, right? So I mean, to go from that 20 years later to here, and I met with Matt Reeves, and I got to show him my fanzine. And it was awesome. One of those moments where if I would like to be able to go back in time and talk to myself and be like, hey, in 20 years, you'll be slightly less of a loser. Slightly. And that would have been cool. So Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I have a lot to say, but I will save that for our next episode. And you can look forward to my conversation with Matt Reeves, which I think you will enjoy. So
I am looking forward to that.
Now, we have a special guest with us this episode, and I wanted to make sure we jumped into a conversation with him. Andrew Farago is joining us, who I'm very excited to have joining us because I've been a fan of everything he does for such a long time. He's the curator of the Comic Art Museum here in San Francisco, and even though he's a Bay Area native, as am I, we've actually never spoken face to face until tonight.
Whoa!
Because I don't know, just the stars have not been in alignment. So I'm very excited to have him joining us. He's here talking up his new book, which, Brian, I'm holding up for you on the camera. This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate Visual History. This is a gorgeous book that is a hardcover filled with not just pictures and little wonderful tchotchkes and whatnot, but just a ton of information. If you're any kind of a Ninja Turtle fan, this is a must-read. And it's out just in time for the new film. So, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thanks for having me. I was waiting to see what the segue was. Like, not as much of a loser he was 20 years ago. Transformers. Like, when you're going to kick it my way. So that's thanks for going that route.
Well, I thought that was a good segue. So the book is out. You are established by virtue of this book as right now the preeminent Ninja Turtles expert. So talk to us about how this book came about and what your process was like in terms of putting it all together.
Yeah, Chris Prince at Insight Editions. I'd worked with them before on my big book before this was the Looney Tunes Treasury, which came out in 2010. And with that, I basically was immersed in Looney Tunes. I spent about a year just watching every DVD, interviewing people, reading every book that was out there, and that that impressed them enough, I guess, that they remembered me a couple years later. And my editor called me up, and he said, we just got this license. He's got a classy British accent. I'm not going to attempt to duplicate that here. But he said, we just got this license, and I want to know, what are your thoughts on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And, I lit up. I said, probably that afternoon, I sent him a pitch, and I told him, here's my approach. Here's why I'm the guy to do this. And basically, I was not a fan from the very, very beginning. I wasn't on board with the black and white comics, but my brother and I saw the first commercials in 1987 before the first TV miniseries aired. And as much as you have to clear your schedule when you're 11 years old, we said, we got to make sure we're home. Call the secretary, clear our plans, hold our calls, whatever it takes. We're going to be home watching this. And we did. We loved it, and 27 years later, I'm like you said, an official licensed and bonded Ninja Turtles expert.
Well, where do you begin with something like this? When you say that you pitch it to an editor, like if you're gonna do something about like a retrospective of the Ninja Turtles, like what is like the way in?
Okay, yeah. So he said, we've got the license. Nickelodeon's going to work with us, but what's your pitch? And the very beginning, you go back to Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, and those are the co-creators. Those are the two guys sharing a low-rent studio space. Actually, not even a studio space. They were sharing a corner of Peter Laird's living room. Wow. And that's why their studio was called Mirage Studios. They didn't actually have a studio. They wanted to give the impression they did, but it was actually just a corner of Peter Laird's living room. And they were goofing around one night. They said it was November 1983. Kevin Eastman drew a turtle and gave it some weapons, and they laughed their heads off. Peter drew a second one, and then they realized 4 turtles would be even funnier than 2 turtles. They came up with the name that night. And since the alternative was for them to just keep plugging away on spot illustrations for people throughout New England, maybe aspiring to doing some hardware store flyers or something. They said, we're comic book fans, we're huge Jack Kirby fans. Let's give it a shot. Let's plot a 40-page comic. Let's put this together. And they did that. They scraped up their life savings. They took out a loan from Kevin's uncle Quentin, like one of the. I hope they build a nice, giant statue of him in their
yeah, right?
in their backyards. But yeah, that's where it all began, and I knew that was part of my pitch, that these two guys from New England teamed up, and they actually had an overnight success. I go into that in my book, but it wasn't until they hooked up with a licensing guy in 1986 who had this vision, who said, I think I can take you guys to the next level, and that's why the Turtles action figures, cartoon, breakfast cereal, movie, Ninja Rap, all of it.
all of the above and more.
And it just spirals out of control from there. It's like if I had another 5 years to track down people, there would probably be another 20 Ninja Turtle projects and products for me to research.
Well, and to that point, I mean, you spoke with just an astonishing number of people. I mean, can you list off some of the people associated with Turtles that you managed to talk to?
Okay, yeah, starting with Eastman and Laird, and then Mark Friedman, who is their licensing guy. I mentioned Mirage Studios. When as the business was expanding, they realized that if they wanted to keep producing a comic book on a regular basis, they were going to need more people. So I talked to Kevin Eastman's high school friend Steve Levine, who was one of the first people they hired to help them produce comic books faster. Kevin actually asked Steve, like, can you letter my comic book? And Steve said, I don't know how to letter. And Kevin said, I don't know how to letter either. It's easy. I'll show you. So that was one of their first assistants. So I talked to all the guys who joined from Mirage Studios, and then this expanded outward into a kid-friendly TV cartoon. So I got to talk to the people who wrote and produced that.
For people who aren't as knowledgeable about the Ninja Turtles, they may not know that it did start as a more darker. It was a darker world, right? Before it became the syndicated cartoon that we all know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Black and white comic book. The phrase grim and gritty. I think. Yeah. Which gets applied to a lot of comic books. I think described that perfectly. They used this duotone paper, which gave it this really sharp, dark look. If you see this really fun cartoon that I recommend called Turtles Forever, it's available on DVD.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that's just such a fun project. It's the 1980s animated Turtles meeting. There's a series in the early 2000s, and they team up. So obviously the darker, sort of meaner, more adult version of the Turtles from the 2000s meet the goofy slapstick Turtles from the 80s. That was that's the crux of this really fun animated special. And then ultimately they meet the 1980s comic book Turtles, again, who are even grimmer, tougher, more dangerous than the others. And that's kind of the vibe I was going for with the book. I wanted to show all these disparate elements and just the connecting thread between all of them. And again, I mentioned Rob Paulson, who was an absolute blast. He is the voice of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. So getting to interview him was just amazing.
Yeah.
And Ernie Reyes Jr., who, if you're a kid in the 80s, you're going to know that name.
Yeah.
If you saw the second Turtles movie, Secret of the Ooze, you know him as Keno, the pizza delivery boy. My first exposure to him was on a TV show called Sidekicks in the 1980s.
I remember that show with Gil Gerard.
Yes, and again, seeing a little little kid with black hair and a bowl cut on TV. Sadly, it didn't inspire me to become a kung fu expert, but it was just cool seeing a little kid who looked remotely like me on television. And getting to interview Ernie all these years later was really exciting. I'll be talking to him at San Diego Comic-Con in a few weeks here.
Oh, nice.
So I'm doing a 30th anniversary panel with him and Kevin Eastman.
Oh, awesome.
And some other cool people.
What day is that going to be on for Comic-Con?
That's Saturday.
Okay.
2 to 3. Townsend Coleman, who's the original Michelangelo on the 1980s cartoon. Ciro Nieli, who's the executive producer of the current Nickelodeon cartoon. Lloyd Goldfine, who worked on the cartoon around 2003. Those guys will all be there, and we'll just be talking Turtles.
Now, cool. you also talked to Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, never in a million years did I
the front door. Seriously? That's awesome.
Yeah. I did not think I would ever have reason to talk to him. I didn't think I'd have, let alone a professional reason to talk to him. It took a while. He's got his agent has like the goofiest MySpace lookingest website around. Makes it look impossible to contact him. But I persevered. I stuck with it, and I got a nice half-hour phone call.
You added him to your top 8, and he was like, "Okay, fine, this guy's legit."
Yeah.
So what? Yeah, all these years later, what's Vanilla Ice's take looking back?
Yeah, he was cool. He's got very fond memories of being on the Turtles set. He celebrated his birthday while he was there. So he said he had a birthday. It sounds like every little kid's dream, you have a birthday party with the Turtles, and there's pizza and gold records. You got your fade haircut and everything. But he was cool. He's got a Ninja Turtle tattoo. He collects memorabilia.
Really?
And he told me that the Ninja Rap gets almost as big a reaction, if not more of a reaction, than Ice Ice Baby when he does it in concert.
Wow.
People jump around.
I can't believe he does it. That's part of his set list. That's funny.
So Andrew, you're the resident expert now. Obviously, there's a lot of skepticism about the new film, and I know you have an extensive section about it in the book. But what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far of the new movie directed by Jonathan Liebesman and of course produced by Michael Bay?
Right. It looks like a Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movie would look. As a kid who grew up on the Transformers and seeing what he did to that, this looked like he had the same approach. And it is what it is.
I'm spoken like a man who wants to sell a book.
Yeah. Being very diplomatic, but I will say that for one thing, I don't have any inside information on the movie that the fans don't have.
Mm-hmm.
We went to press several months ago, so they were keeping everything very tightly under lock and key while I was interviewing them, and everything had to go through. For the movie, it had to go through a lot more press people and a lot more channels before anything saw print. So they were very guarded in what access they gave me. I'll say I'm a little more optimistic having seen the latest trailer than I was for the previous ones. Although that's probably because I'm a huge Will Arnett fan, and this is the one where we finally. Everybody else is saying, "Oh, we finally got the Shredder after all these teasers," and I'm saying, "No, we finally got Will Arnett after all these teasers and IMDb entries and all these warnings that he's going to be in the movie. Finally, we got to look at him."
Yeah.
Well,
so that gets my $11.
Well,
yeah.
The new Turtles movie hits theaters on August 8th, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Ultimate Visual History is available now through Amazon or through your local bookseller, or is it available through the publisher too, Andrew?
Yes. So you can go to insighteditions.com. But basically, everywhere books are sold, it's available now.
And it's fantastic. If you're any kind of a fan, you should absolutely pick this up. I've had it sitting next to my bed for the past few days, and I just love flipping through it. And I can't even use my kids as an excuse because they're out of town right now. So it's just me reading a Ninja Turtles book, and it's fantastic. Andrew, can you throw in a plug for the other stuff you do, like the Comic Art Museum?
Yes. So I'm the curator at the Cartoon Art Museum in downtown San Francisco. So
Sorry, Cartoon Art Museum.
At Cartoon Art on Twitter, cartoonart.org if you want to follow us on our website. And we've got a Facebook page, Cartoon Art Museum on Facebook. If you want to follow me, I'm at Andrew Farago on Twitter. And I'm still in the process of getting a proper website together, but that's if you look up Andrew Farago Cartoons on Facebook, you can find me there. And yeah, I've got other stuff coming out. I wrote an introduction to Bobby London's Popeye, which came out from IDW earlier this year, and I just wrote an introduction for the second volume of that. And I've got a G.I. Joe His Tank Mega Mini Kit from Running Press, and that's going to be available near cash registers nationwide in September. That's cool. a little gift book thing. So yeah, I'm glad to finally talk to Zaki after years of near misses and being on the same comic book message boards, and I think we've found out online we've been in multiple advanced screenings for movies and had no idea that till we were complaining about them later. We had no idea we're in the same building.
Yeah, like ships in the night.
Yeah.
But
Andrew, this is we're getting closer.
I know this. Hey, face to face, digitally, so that's something. But Andrew, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to hearing more from you, and hopefully you can come back on to talk up your other projects soon.
Thanks. Anytime.
Very nice to meet you, Andrew.
Take care.
Thanks.
Cool. Nice to follow.
Yeah. So like I said, I really am enjoying the book, and the past few days I've been on my own. My family is out of town.
Uh-oh.
I know. See, they're out of town for a month just because I've got my summer classes and it's just bonkers. So it's just easier. Yeah. And so I got home, and the first thing I did was strip down to my boxers.
Yeah.
I was just like, no one's home.
Fly down into the hallway.
I did.
Style. And then did you start a brothel in your house, risky business style? And did you fall for one of the women that work? Never mind.
All of the above.
Risky business style. Yeah.
so
hashtag risky business style.
You're gonna start a new trend. That'll work. All right,
yeah.
So we kind of juxtaposed our order a little bit. We did talk up the new trailer while Andrew was here, and I love how he was studiedly neutral about the new film. Which now we've got lots to say about Michael Bay, which we will do in due time. We've got lots to say.
See our faces.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, now you just watched Age of Extinction, correct?
I stepped out of it and stepped into this. Yeah.
Okay, so you you felt like you'd stepped in something else, I'm sure.
Yeah. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But before we get there, we do have some headlines to discuss. So let's go ahead and jump through those hoops. First up, Community lives.
Say what?
I'm excited.
That's crazy.
So Community, we actually did not mention this on the show. Community is, of course, one of our favorite shows, and it had gotten canceled by NBC.
Right.
It had gotten canceled. They said, sorry, too bad, so sad, off you go, be gone, sayonara, aloha, arrivederci, and that was it. I can't think of any more like international goodbyes.
Well, and we should add that almost every single season, fans thought the show was going to get canceled.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like in season 2, it's going to be canceled. Oh, it's saved. Oh, yeah. Is it going to be canceled? Oh, it's saved. I mean, that's just how it goes being a fan of the show. Like,
yeah. You just
So then, when it finally got the axe, it was like, oh, like it actually happened.
And I'll be honest, I wasn't even necessarily sad, even though it's not like the show had gotten bad. But I was like, well, they got 5 more seasons than I would have expected.
I thought it was pretty admirable what they were able to walk away from. So yeah, they squeezed a lot of juice out of that lemon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And now what happened is that Sony found that the show did very well online. It did very well with home video, and so they wanted to find a way to keep it going. And they had until June 30th to get a deal done for something, if not with another network, then a streaming service, something, because the cast's contracts ran out on June 30th. So last week, a deal was in play with Hulu for a new season of episodes, and that collapsed. And so everyone was like, all right, well, it looks like this is the darkest timeline because the show's canceled. And then today, we're recording on June 30th, and earlier today, on June 30th, it was announced that the show will get a 6th season, courtesy of Yahoo Screen.
Yeah. I mean, who knew? Who knew that, you put on Netflix, all right, everybody's got... I think people are pretty acclimated now to this streaming... the popular streaming services, because it's like, okay, they either have like a Roku or they have a PlayStation, whatever, or you know what I mean, something with the Netflix app or the Amazon app. But with Yahoo, I don't know how that works, honestly. I'm excited that they're trying this, but I mean, will there be a Yahoo app? Will I have to go on my computer to watch this? Like, how are we gonna watch Community now?
I guess you're gonna have to watch on your computer.
Yeah. But it's interesting, Dan Harmon had a funny tweet, I guess, or a quote regarding this. He said, I'm very pleased that Community will be returning for its predestined 6th season on Yahoo. Right. And he said, this is hilarious, I look forward to bringing our beloved NBC sitcom to a larger audience by moving it online.
That about sums it up.
Yeah.
It's probably true, because NBC is being watched by about 8 people.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that it'll probably do better. I mean, if you're Sony, it's smart, because...
Oh, super smart.
Who cares how the episodes get made, right? Because for Sony, it doesn't matter what format the episodes are put out in, because they'll be able to stream it through I mean, you name it, like home video and syndication and everything else. So...
Well, I think its fans are probably savvier than most as well. Like, if they want it, they're gonna find it.
That's also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I think just A, the fact that it came back, and B, the fact that it's back in this unique way is of interest to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
Now, while we're talking about unseen revivals, this news kind of caught me off guard. And this is that Fox is bringing Predator back.
Yeah.
Even though they brought Predator back 4 years ago. So
I was gonna say, if you tell me, hey Brian, and I go, what's up, Zaki? He'd be like, hey, make another Predator movie. I'd be like, whatevs. But what if Predator movie was being brought back by Shane Black? What do you think of that, Brian? I'd be like, shut your butt.
This was MovieFilm Theater, brought to you by the MovieFilm Podcast.
Yeah. No, but seriously, I saw Predators.
I have to say, I liked Predators.
It was fine. I don't remember a darn thing about it except for the 5-year-old girl that was sitting in front of me hugging her father with fear in her eyes.
Yeah.
Because the movie was freaking her out.
Yeah.
I had to look at her because she was facing me.
She was actually freaked out by Adrian Brody's abs.
I forgot he was... Okay, so my point proven. I don't remember a darn thing about that.
You don't remember the Oscar winner who starred in it?
Yeah, I'm sure it was fine if I saw it again. Actually, I probably wouldn't watch it again, being honest. Like, I just whatever. I just want to watch the original.
Really? I mean, I actually liked that movie. Like, I left the theater after Predators, and I was like, hey, solid. I mean, it's not like there was a, you know what I mean? Other than the first Predator movie, it's not like a whole lot worthwhile had been done with that franchise.
No, I wouldn't say it's bad by any means. I just feel like I would probably rather watch something else.
Yeah, sure.
Just being honest.
So they're doing a new Predator movie, and it's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be written and directed by Shane Black.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, Shane Black has no connection to the original Predator, so why should I, trust him?
Shane Black is dead body number one in the original Predator.
That's true. He was actually brought in. He was cast as a side character because they were secretly hoping he would help write the film.
That's right. He was Hawkins.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to see him in that movie because he's like the skinny wiener.
Yeah, these like huge 80s glasses. Yeah,
now he's like this haggard old man.
Yeah.
It's very jarring,
Yeah. But anyway, I'll be honest. Even though Shane Black's attached, I'm like, oh, okay, we'll see. Like, I'm not marking my calendar or anything, but I hope it's good. We'll see.
Well, I wouldn't. I will say this. I don't know about you, but I feel because like maybe even 5 years ago, 20th Century Fox was like the studio that we all shit on.
Yes.
And I feel like Fox has turned a corner.
Yeah. Do you think that might be related to people coming or going, or?
Well, I mean, I'm wondering. We talked about this on the show a little while ago. Yeah, Tom Rothman was the head of that studio, and he was just terrible.
That is a popular opinion.
I'm. That's not even opinion. That's just like fact at this point. But more accurately, it's alleged opinion that we have no we don't have a stake in that one way or the other. In case you're listening, Tom Rothman's lawyer.
Yeah.
But like when you
Phil.
when you look at like the X-Men franchise, which got fixed after he left.
Uh-huh.
When you look at Planet of the Apes, which kind of came up after he left. When you look at again something like Predator, getting Shane Black to do Predator, that's outside the box. Even something like Prometheus, which for as much as Sean disliked it, it was a risk.
Yeah.
On the studio.
Oh yeah.
Which I give
especially the film they made, not just making it to begin with, but the film they actually came up with. Yeah. I know. I think the thing, whenever you say Prometheus on the show, we think of Sean's vitriol. but I don't hate that movie by any means. Like if that's on HBO, like I usually stop and watch it for a while.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I mean, I have no strong opinion, but I get the same thing where people kind of like, oh yeah, you guys all hate Prometheus. It's like no. I'm like, read my review. I think I gave it a B+. So
Yeah.
But while we're talking about 80s franchises that are coming back, one more that we've talked about before, which is Terminator Genisys.
I'm just not digging that Genesis part.
Well, lucky for you.
What?
Apparently, the title of the movie is not Terminator Genisys. It's not The Terminator Genisys. It's not The Terminator. It's just Terminator.
Okay. Terminator. One ticket for Terminator, please. Yeah.
Kind of makes sense, because that's what people are going to say anyway.
Yeah. It feels a little empty, right?
Well, what do you want to add on, like 2 Judgment Day?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Just to make that the movie.
Terminator. And then the next one will be called, like, Nators.
Terminator 2.
Yeah, yeah. TOO. Yeah.
Terminator 2. You saw that. Wasn't that a play?
Oh, I did. I wasn't even, referencing that. But yeah. If you live in the Los Angeles area, there's something called Terminator 2 Judgment Play. And you can watch these people perform, basically, what do you call it? Sweeted? Wasn't that like a thing, a Michel Gondry thing, where it's like people would recreate trailers, and the special effects they'd use like yarn and all sorts, like garbage bags and all sorts of sort of low rent sort of things, and that was charming. Basically, that's what Terminator 2 Judgment Play is. They do the play in front of you in a theater, but it's like really low rent, and it's super fun. Like when Sarah Connor's getting chased by the Terminator, she'll come out in the audience and climb over you, and highly recommend it. It's great.
Is it an ongoing thing, or is it just like a
it pops up every now and then. People should Google it and see, because it'll run for a little bit and then it'll disappear and then it'll run again. These guys also do the Point Break Live, if anyone's familiar with that. So I think they kind of hop between those two. So anyway, that was a little tangent I didn't expect to go down, but definitely check those guys out. Those guys are great.
And that's Terminator 2 TOO.
Yes,
which will also be the sequel to this new Terminator reboot.
If I had my way.
Now it's interesting because Jason Clarke, of course, plays John Connor in this new film, and he's also the star, a human star of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So I was like, he's like post-apocalyptic guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad he's popping up in all these movies. I really like him.
He's a good actor. You know, I was actually really hoping I'd get a chance to talk to him. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that happen. But very cool. I did, by the way, talk to Gary Oldman.
That's awesome, by the way. You sent me or texted me that picture.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you if you ever encounter a celebrity or someone that means a lot to you and you take a selfie with them, it always comes out blurry or it's like the light's bad or whatever. Zaki got this picture with Gary Oldman. It looks perfect. Like the lighting's perfect. It's in focus. I was like, what a wonderful picture. That was great. So yeah, that was
I know.
Cool.
And he was great. I was talking to him all kinds of stuff. He was like telling me about the Jews, and it was crazy.
I thought we weren't going to do that, but all right.
I'm totally kidding. He did not mention the Jews by name. So I just want to point that out. In his defense, he didn't. I did meet Andy Serkis also, by the way, and you talk about a picture turning out and then not turning out. This is actually kind of funny. I go up to Andy Serkis, and no, you're laughing. This is true. I go up to Andy Serkis, and I'm like, oh, I'm such a big fan of yours. I love the movie. And we actually talked for a little bit. He's like, what'd you think of the movie? And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, Andy, do you mind if I get a picture with you? He's like, oh, no problem. And it just so happens that there's like no one around to take a picture, right? So there's this guy like right next to me. So I'm kind of, excuse me, sir, would you mind taking a picture? And it turns out that the person I ask is Terry Notary, who plays one of the apes, and he's also the guy who like trained all the other actors to act like apes.
Oh, how funny.
And Andy Serkis is like, that's Terry Notary. I was like, come on, you got to get in the picture too. So now it's me, Terry Notary, and Andy Serkis, and we're trying to find somebody to take a picture. And then I asked the other guy, I'm like, excuse me, sir, could you mind taking a picture? And turns out that's Dylan Clark, the producer of the movie. and Andy Serkis is like, oh, this is Dylan Clark. He's the producer of the movie. I was like, yeah, I know who you are. I'm like, well, come on, you got to get in the picture too. So now it's me, Terry Notary, Andy Serkis, Dylan Clark, trying to get a picture, and there's no one around. So then Dylan Clark is like, well, here, just do a selfie, and we turn the picture around, and he kind of holds the camera out and takes a picture. Except that we're in like a nightclub, basically.
Yeah. So
this selfie with the four of us doesn't turn out.
It's pretty dark. Actually, I tried to brighten it for you. Yeah, I came up with another version. It looks a little different, but yeah, but no, it's still it's funny. I mean, yeah, you do have to squint a little bit, but honestly, you can't tell it's Andy Serkis in the picture.
It's still pretty cool, and he was very cool.
So, well, you got the memory too.
I got the memory. That's right. So that was pretty cool. But we do have some Star Wars headlines to discuss. So Brian, why don't you go ahead and take point on that?
Well, it's been funny. We started the whole Star Wars segment, and that was when everything was in like complete unsubstantiated rumors. It's just like I hear that now the movie is actually filming. This is actually happening. We can actually have Star Wars news. And what's interesting about this news is basically the movie was set to open in May of 2015, right? Or somewhere around there. That was the initial...
That was the plan, yeah.
That was the plan. And then eventually, May of 15. And they asked for more time. Moved it to December of 2015, which is funny because, usually when you hear about a movie being pushed online, everyone's like, uh-oh, movie's in trouble. But with this one, everyone's like, no. Like, yeah, take your time. We want a good movie. So if you need more time, you take more time. No problem. So anyway, as I think we talked about in the last episode, Harrison Ford broke his foot.
Yeah, broke his leg, supposedly.
Broke his leg. Oh, it was his leg. I'm sorry, yeah. And so he is out for 6 months. Not weeks, months. And so understandably, that would change a lot of things. And so there were rumors about possibly rewriting the script, which I was like, no. If you have something you like that you're actually shooting, don't change the script. Right. Apparently, J.J. Abrams feels the same way because he's asked Disney if they can move the release of the picture from December 2015 to May of 2016, which again, I'm like, look, that makes me sad, but I don't care. Like, if you need May 2016, I believe you. Right. I think most people would agree. And I was on Film Drunk, which is a website kind of writes from a comedic point of view, and they had this really funny article where they were talking about this story, but they didn't let you know they were talking about it at first, and they were talking about James Cameron's Titanic, and they were saying, like, basically, that movie was due July 1997, and then they pushed, and everyone was like, oh, there's rumors about it going over budget and all these things, and I think we all know how that story ends. It's like he just genuinely needed more time to make the movie he wanted to make, and that movie went on to make $2.2 billion and win 11 Oscars. So I guess in the article they paraphrased James Cameron, so I'm going to paraphrase a paraphrase, but he basically said, no one has ever left a theater and thought, well, that movie sucked, but at least it made its release date.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I understand there is books and money, and making movies is a business, and there's quarters, and reporting how much money you made per quarter for shareholders, and blah 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 blah. But you know what? If you make a bad movie and you made your quarter, you're going to sell less toys, you're going to sell less Blu-rays, you're going to sell less this. People aren't going to be as high on your product. So look, man, this movie is super important. This movie cost you $4 billion. Right, to acquire from Lucasfilm. So this is going to set the tone for everything that's going to come after this. If you need to come out in May 2016, come out in May 2016. But Bob Iger doesn't seem too sold on that yet. So we'll see what happens. I really hope that they don't sacrifice the story, because apparently rumor has it that Han Solo is a central character in this new story. So I really hope they don't sacrifice what they apparently believed in and are going forward with.
I think now that he's just going to have a cane like Frasier's dad on that show.
You know what? I mean, you kind of joke, but if it works with the character, whatever. I mean, seriously, make it work. And if it doesn't work, then don't do it. Just do what's best for the film. And
how much do you think J.J. Abrams hates his life at this moment?
Probably a lot, because he seemed really reluctant to do this in the first place. Then he didn't want to go to London to do it. Then he's begging for more time that they don't want to give him. I mean, he must be a wreck.
You know what? Every time Disney talks to him, you know what he says? This deal keeps getting worse all the time.
Hey, nice.
Right now, Billy D. Williams' ears perked up.
But it's funny because, I mean, you and I love movies, obviously. And, we love movies. We love watching them. But we also just love this stuff, the nuts and bolts, how the sausage is made. I mean, we like that stuff. And so this is really interesting to me. You know what I mean? I enjoy kind of hearing these stories. And I'm not just thinking about the release date. It's just interesting thinking about all the stuff that goes into this, so we can have something that we'll hopefully be watching on repeat with our kids in the future. So
of course, it's worth pointing out that Disney's already signed Rian Johnson to do episode 8.
Yeah, he of Looper fame.
Yeah, that's right.
And Rick, kind of an unconventional choice, honestly, and that's pretty interesting.
It's interesting to me that they signed him for one of the episodes, quote unquote, as opposed to because you've got Gareth Edwards doing one of those movies. You've got who's the other guy that they have doing one of the spin-offs?
Oh snap!
We talked about it in the last episode. Can't even remember.
Oh crap! Who is it? Not Gareth Edwards. One other guy.
It's completely.
Yeah, I'm having a brain fart. Unfortunately. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
It's late. That's my excuse. But so Rian Johnson, they've signed him to write and direct episode 8, and I just pictured J.J. Abrams just sitting back, being like, "Oh, thank God, somebody else to get this pressure." Yeah. Because
Josh Trank, that's who it is.
Josh Trank. Okay, there we go. And we talked about that in the last episode. So right. Now moving on, we're of course. Star Wars is a gazillion-dollar franchise, but there's another gazillion-dollar franchise which is mentioned in the same breath as Star Wars. Brian, I can't say that seriously. Now, of course, I am talking about Transformers, and the 4th installment of that series, Transformers: Age of Extinction, hit theaters this past weekend, and it opened to just under $100 million domestically. If you listen to
debatable.
Yeah, if you listen to Paramount, If you listen to Paramount, it made more than 100 million. If you listen to everyone else, they say no, it made less than 100. So this is what studios fight about. These are called first world problems.
This is actually kind of relevant though, because I saw this story right before we went on air, and it's interesting because every other studio and these companies that like are very scarily accurate at predicting these things and then calculating how much money things make by the end of the weekend. Everyone is saying there's no way this movie made over $100 million. Now, I should note that it doesn't mean that it's anything significantly lower. Everyone's estimating it was really more like 97 million. But what's interesting is they think, I guess an insider at Paramount, an unnamed insider, of course, said he thinks that they said over 100 because if it didn't make over 100 million, people were going to lose jobs.
Well, that's idiotic. I mean...
Well, but it's not. You know what? I kind of believe it because that goes into the whole Star Wars thing, where it's like, what makes the most sense for the best Star Wars movie? Well, apparently moving it to 2016. But the thing is these again, Disney, it's a business, and they have to, report their earnings, and if they're going to keep stock, the way that they want it, each quarter has to produce. So anyway, it's just interesting that this is like example that. If they are, and apparently, according to everyone but Paramount, they are lying about their box office.
Right.
That's how important it is.
If they're willing, it's all alleged, of course. But yeah, I've heard the same stuff. And I mean, the movie has already made $300 million worldwide.
Sure.
Whether it made 100 domestically or not. I mean, that shows how irrelevant the U.S. part of the pie is, the North American part of the pie is, because it made 95 million in China over opening weekend.
Right.
So this is a $300 million movie. It's headed towards probably $1 billion worldwide when all is said and done. This is the fourth Transformers movie, Age of Extinction. Let's cross the spoiler wall, Brian.
Spoilers, I had to look up the plot on Wikipedia so I could talk about this movie tonight. I was like, what?
Okay, so let me give you my review first.
I seriously did. I had to go on Wikipedia.
I believe you. I believe you. So okay, let me tell you about my story of going to see Transformers: Age of Extinction. So I was going to see it, and of course, what happened with the last Transformers movie, which was quite a slog. It was about 2.5 hours long. Was that I fell asleep.
Yes.
So I was like, all right, well, I don't want to fall asleep during this one. So I put on a pot of tea, and I had some tea because I was like, chai is going to keep me up. So I drink my chai, and then I hop in the car and I drive into San Francisco for the screening. And of course, the screening's at 7. I leave at like 5 because it's rush hour, and it takes about an hour and a half to get into the city. Little do I realize that A, it's peak rush hour, and B, I have the bladder control of either a small infant or an old man. So I'm about a third of the way to San Francisco, and I realize that I need to pee.
Ugh.
And there's nowhere for me to pull over, and there's no way for me to pull off. So I'm just in traffic, and now I'm on the Bay Bridge getting in, and the Bay Bridge is just packed end to end. And I'm at a point now where I'm looking around my car, and I'm like, I am for sure gonna pee in my car.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'm at this point. I'm in triage mode. I'm like, okay, does pee come out? Is my car gonna smell? Like I'm going into that scenario.
Jeez, yeah, okay. You're there, man.
I'm there. So at that point, I'm using any bump in the road is making like a little pee come out, so I'm just like trying to not go to the bathroom in the car, and I made it. I actually made it, which I'm very happy about. But as that was my driving goal, was not even to get to the city in time for the movie. It was to get into the city in time for me to not wet my pants. So now the takeaway is, number one, I did not pee my pants, and number two, I did not fall asleep because of chai. So I'm happy because that means I'm not as old as I thought. That's
my review of Transformers.
The end. And that's the reason I like Transformers 4.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? I will say I'm somebody who loathed the second one. Nap Time was the third one. I didn't hate this fourth one. I was like, it's you know, it kept me awake.
Yeah.
And here's what I said in my review. Okay, I said that it's a Michael Bay Transformers movie, and within
That's the best. That's it. That's it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. And within that box, it's the better version of the way that movie could have been, given that it's a Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Sure.
Now, you just read the plot on Wikipedia, so please enlighten me.
Don't do that to me. It honestly went in one ear out the other. Well, okay, I guess I can kind of sum it up a little bit. I should have kept that page open. So I guess let me back up a little bit and say what I think about these movies. I thought the first one was fine. It was fun. It's a little overkill, but that's what you expect from Michael Bay, and it was fun. The first one's not bad. Again, as a Michael, and that's the thing. I don't want to totally disparage Michael Bay because it's like he does what he does. And if you don't like it, then don't go. That's kind of, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So let him do what he does. That's fine. But the first one was fine. Second one, I think I've said on here before, was Distant Memory. The last movie I can remember, I almost walked out of.
Right.
Because it was just complete overload. I had no idea what was going on. It was just so much action, I was bored. And I remember looking at my watch and knowing it was about 2.5 hours long, and it was only 90 minutes in, and I was like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm done.
Right.
So that's Transformers 2. Transformers 3 actually I didn't dislike it. So it was fine. I thought it was he figured out a way to keep my attention a little bit better. I mean, you and I are both from the Chicagoland area, and the last hour that movie takes place in Chicago. Basically, robots attacking each other in Chicago, which I found kind of fun. It's funny too. I was hanging out with my significant other the other day, and Transformers 3 was on cable, and I stopped on it for a little while and started watching it. And she's like, "I thought you hated Transformers," and I was like, "Look, it's complicated." Because I'll admit, I was totally enjoying watching skyscrapers falling over and robots grabbing people and, you know what I mean, cars flipping over. There is something fun about that. So I think the only problem is when it just it goes on for so long that you stop knowing what you're looking at or what you're you need to root for someone getting from A to B. Because otherwise, it's just 2 hours of explosions, and believe it or not, that can actually get boring.
Yeah.
So I'll say for Transformers 4, I probably like 3 better.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I like 3 better. And it's funny to say this, but I thought Shia LaBeouf, say what you will about him, even if he is kind of annoying doing his whole stammering kind of goofball thing, he does... he's a thread through the movie that you kind of can't take your eyes off of because he's such this weird ball of energy. And I think I might kind of missed it a little bit in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, and maybe not necessarily him, but just that ball of energy to keep the bouncing ball for me to keep my eye on throughout the movie.
So for me,
even John Turturro, let me add that too. John Turturro, just that weird character who I didn't find funny at all or even like that much. I think I actually kind of missed whatever it is that character, that energy was in those movies, was kind of missing in this one.
See, so the best thing about this movie for me was that Shia LaBeouf was gone.
Sure.
I really liked him in the first one. I was done with him by the third one, and now he's like 8 kinds of crazy pants.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, which is too bad. But I'm not even saying that I wanted him in this movie, but I just wanted maybe another. If you're gonna have all this mayhem going on, I do need something like I say, a bouncing ball for me to keep my eye on throughout all the mayhem.
You know who I did miss in this was Josh Duhamel and Tyrese.
Yes, I could have totally followed them through this whole movie. Right. I didn't even think about that. But when you say that, I would have liked to have. It could have been about them. I would have liked to have followed them. So anyway, this movie is. I guess I'll get into the plot then. Is that whole devastation in Chicago is now this huge worldwide, event that happened that changed everything. The aliens attacked this major city, and so, never forget what happened in Chicago is kind of the tone that we start the movie out with. And we are following Mark Wahlberg, who is an inventor who in Texas, and apparently in Texas the sun is always setting. Every shot, the sun is always setting.
That's
and
true.
In a world where the sun is always setting, Transformers 4. So anyway, he's got this impossibly hot daughter who is
yes.
Apparently can't afford college because her dad is an inventor who hasn't invented anything significant.
She also can't afford pants that are longer than like her butt, basically.
Yes, and there is. Don't worry if you're hoping you'll get a good glimpse of that. There are plenty of shots that are like close up of the butt.
So, by the way, it's worth pointing out that Nicola Peltz, who plays the daughter, is 19.
Yeah, she plays a 17-year-old in the movie, which is funny how much it sexualizes her.
It's unbelievably creepy.
Yeah. And okay, so we'll get to even more creepy things going on in a second. But so anyway, so it's this father-daughter, and he finds this truck that's been shot to pieces in this movie theater, takes it back to his barn, thinks maybe he can work on it, get some money. Come to find out, it's Optimus Prime who has survived.
I think we found a Transformer, okay?
Yeah, I think I'll fix it up. It'll talk to me, all right? Just let me know. I'm trying to pay for your college, okay? And anyway, so come to find out this truck is Optimus Prime, and there are people with the CIA who are hunting down Transformers, whether they be Autobot or Decepticon, good or bad, and that's where the whole thrust into adventure begins. So yeah, we're trying to hunt down Transformers. We don't want anything to do with them anymore. They cause devastation.
Thrust into Adventure, by the way, was the alternative title for this movie.
Yeah, Transformers 4, Thrust into Adventure. So that's kind of the adventure, basically, is it's Optimus Prime, the government is trying to destroy all Transformers, and Mark Wahlberg and his daughter get thrown into this adventure. Why they tag along for all this, I have no idea. That's why I went to Wikipedia. They really should not have. Kind of disrupted their lives and brought no gain to them whatsoever.
No, that's not true, because Stanley Tucci says he's going to build them a new house.
Yeah, but they did. Yes, they didn't know that when they went into this, but this is true. Anyway, so come to find out, impossibly hot 17-year-old daughter has a boyfriend who's 20 years old.
Yeah.
And Mark why? Just why? Why not make her 18? Why even make this a thing?
Right.
Give her this older boyfriend. So anyway, Mark Wahlberg in this, kids adventure brings up the fact that it's statutory rape for this guy to be dating his daughter. This is in the movie. Brings up that it doesn't use those words, but basically brings up that it's statutory rape for them to even be together. And the guy's like, no, there's Romeo and Juliet laws in the state of Texas.
And then they show those statutes.
They literally show a card that has the law on it, and like the Article 4, Line 7. Yeah, it's okay if we've been dating from before. And I'm like, this movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. Why are we spending time on this? It's so hilarious. Anyway, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about this right now? Because the movie did. Like, it's so stupid. Anyway, so then Stanley Tucci plays like sort of a Steve Jobs sort of fellow. But this is actually interesting. So what he has done is he has taken the technology of the Transformers, he's taken scraps from the destruction of Chicago, and unfortunately he happened to have taken Megatron, who is the villain. And basically what he's done is he's reverse engineered the technology of the Transformers metal, and he has recreated it. So what he's able to do now is basically make the T-1000 of Transformers.
Right.
He can use their technology, and it basically looks exactly the same. It's like this liquid metal sort of silly putty kind of thing, and then they can turn into the trucks and the whatever. But unfortunately, like I say, he's used Megatron for this technology, so it's bad, and he gets all the other things that the Steve Jobs character has been, or Stanley Tucci's character, I should say, has been working on, and he has this whole bad army, and then Optimus Prime has this whole good army.
Here's
and
the
then
thing.
destruction ensues for the next hour and 40 minutes.
What happens is that they're using the information from Megatron's brain, and they've created a new Transformer called Galvatron.
Yes.
So we first see Galvatron, who's kind of like getting created, but he keeps looking like Megatron, right?
Right.
And Stanley Tucci's like, why does he keep looking like Megatron? He's supposed to look like Optimus Prime. And I'm like, why did you name him Galvatron? Why didn't you name him Schmoptimus Prime or something? Right?
Yeah.
And then they're shocked when Galvatron turns out to be evil.
Right. Right.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So then, and that's what happens, is basically the bad guys are there, then the good guys are there, and then all of a sudden there's dinosaur robots. Right? And so Optimus Prime is riding a dinosaur robot, and then they fight for the next hour.
They're called the Dinobots.
They're called Dinobots. Forgive me.
Yeah, if you look at the trailers and the posters, it's like, oh shit, the Dinobots.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're like a Transformers fan, you're like, oh, look, it's Grimlock, and there's Slag and Snarl and Smush and Schmuck and whatever their names are.
And Squash. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And if you watch the actual movie, they're in it for about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
They have no dialogue. They're given no names.
No. And most of the time they're being tamed by Optimus Prime.
Yeah. So anybody who's paying the price of admission to see the Dinobots is in for a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me also add, I'm pointing out all the negative things here. I am going to get to some positive things, because I wouldn't completely write off this movie, and I will explain that later. But here's another thing I don't understand is the threshold that these characters have is completely unknowable. So I mean, you'll have like machine gun fire. I mean, you'll have Transformers shooting at other Transformers with what I imagine are probably pretty strong cannons. Mm-hmm. And they'll get knocked over, but they get back up. But then all of a sudden, like a sword or something will pierce them, or something, innocuous will puncture one of them, and then they're dead. So it's a little hard to understand what these guys can take. Right? Exactly. I mean, which is, I guess, kind of doesn't really matter. But so anyway, there's been all these articles giving Michael Bay a hard time about how these movies are no good and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, look, I make roller coaster rides. I think I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, like, I'm making a Six Flag ride that's a movie. And I kept thinking of that quote when I was watching the movie. And I was like, you know what? He is. Like, that's what this is. This is just... at Universal Studios Hollywood, they had the Transformers ride, and this is a 2.5-hour version of the Transformers ride. And you know what? If that's what you're going to see, then you're not going to have a bad time. You know what? And I'll be honest, like, however much money they spent on this movie, every cent of it is on screen.
I agree with that.
And, like, I was in awe of a lot of this movie. I mean, like, the destruction and the choreography that must go into all this, it's really impressive.
Well, and I think the special effects are astonishing. I think they're very, very well done,
This come out a couple years previous, it would just look like people pasted in next to these things. I have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, this movie looks unbelievable. And the set pieces, even though they lack I want to use the word stakes, but I mean, I just don't always understand where we're going during them, so they just kind of become just action for like the next 10 minutes. But you know what? It's still pretty cool.
Well, and
there's this whole...
You can look at like the Chicago action sequence. It's really well done. You can look at the China action sequence. A lot of bits and pieces in there are visually engaging,
Yes. I still, out of all of them, I would still give it to the Chicago sequence in the third movie. Sure. I think that one is just like ridiculous. I mean, when that scene is like cut in half, and then they're sliding through, and I mean that thing's just, I don't know. Maybe there's a little more narrative to that action sequence, so I sort of understood what was going on.
Sure.
This one just felt more like, just action. But I like I said, like that's not necessarily bad because Michael Bay's admitting that's what he's going for. So in that sense, he succeeded. And if you want to go see like 2.5 hours of just craziness, like then that is what I would recommend it for that. But I will say that I was actually a little surprised because when the movie started and it was about Mark Wahlberg and the daughter is like terribly rote and simple as it is, like I was like, okay, sure. And I was kind of with them, and I was like, T.J. Miller's in this from Silicon Valley as Mark Wahlberg's business partner, who I really enjoyed. He's really, I enjoy his presence, and so I was enjoying
10 minutes.
Yeah, I wish he had stuck the whole movie. Actually, maybe that's what the movie needed, really, like a sense of humor through the whole thing. But anyway, I was with it for then, but then I just realized about halfway through, like it just wasn't going to be about the people. It's never going to be about the people. And even though I wish they would round out these things a little bit more, because I think it would enhance the movie and make more people enjoy them, he just doesn't care. Michael Bay doesn't care, and that's okay. Then it is what it is, Oh, I should bring up. Oh, good. Yeah, you go. I was just going to say. I mean,
real quick. I think it's interesting because I think we have different perspectives because I grew up watching the cartoon show.
Sure.
So for me, I'm like, I don't care about the human characters. And that was kind of why I liked Mark Wahlberg being in this one, because it was, if you notice the last few, it was like they had to spend an inordinate amount of time being like, oh, and here's Sam's job, and now here's what's going on with Sam. Like, it's like we have to develop this, right?
Sure.
And every time we spend with Sam going on a job interview talking to John Malkovich, that's time we're not spending with the Transformers.
Which, oddly enough, is time we didn't need to spend at all. I mean, that stuff wasn't needed.
Right, exactly.
Sam's parents, I did not need to be in this series.
Right, exactly. So for me, I think the use of Wahlberg is like, hey, it's Mark Wahlberg, and you don't really know anything. He's Mark Wahlberg.
That's a good point. Well, I guess
and only in the sense that like let me put it this way. I think that Wahlberg gives his character a lot more than is on the page.
I would agree with that.
Right, yeah. Because the dialogue is shit.
Yes.
And whatever, but like I mean, I think audiences generally like Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I think so.
And he has a likability about him. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's just a likable guy. And so Michael Bay, I think, was very smart in approaching him to replace, what's-his-face, Shia LaBeouf, because he's somebody who we can hit the ground running with.
Right.
And it's almost like the focus is more on the Transformers in this movie, or at least more on Optimus Prime specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, I read this really interesting article about how I think I forget the exact title, but it was like the collective yawn of Shia LaBeouf leaving the Transformers series.
Right.
And about completely separate from his just shenanigans, right? About how the fact, like, nobody batted an eye, nobody has batted an eye, nobody is watching these movies, nobody watched Age of Extinction and was like, it just doesn't have Shia LaBeouf in it. Like, nobody's saying that.
Well, that could almost go back to what I said, though, where it's these aren't characters you care about. Right. And I understand. I mean, we're not here for the humans. We're here for the robots. But at the same time, we spend a lot of time with the humans. So why not make them people that I want to see?
I'm just thinking, like, if they had Shia LaBeouf but didn't have Optimus Prime in this movie, people would be more upset. Do you see what I'm saying?
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's really the main character.
Yeah. And Optimus in this movie is pissed.
Yeah, but he's really cool. I mean,
he's really angry this whole movie. he's always talking about, like, like, I will kill you.
I just want to say, I wish I had Optimus Prime's voice. Because I feel like I could get
out of bed.
Yeah, I feel like things would get done more in my life, just in general. I feel like my life would be better if I sounded like Optimus Prime.
Well, work on it.
That's what dreams are for. Now you were saying, sorry, before I interrupted you.
Oh no, I mean we've kind of already covered it, but I was just gonna bring up, having the boyfriend tag along. For my money, you should have killed the boyfriend and kept T.J. Miller.
Sure. I actually, I don't know. Did you have this thought that it felt like they were leading up to Wahlberg dying?
Yeah, kind of like an Armageddon situation.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me, exactly.
Yeah, but it's just strange. I mean, there's this boyfriend, and he's like older. He's like a 28-year-old looking 20-year-old,
Right.
and he's got an Irish accent, even though he lives in the middle of Podunk, Texas, for reasons unknown. And he's an awesome car driver too, so that's good. And yeah, there's this sort of him versus the father thing with the girl, and I was like, what? The father's probably right. but he has no personality. He's not interesting. He's just, the whole father versus boyfriend thing is only there because it has to be, because the script,
Yeah. He
it's on
didn't.
the page.
The boyfriend didn't need to be a character at all.
No, and you don't buy a second of it. And I know, who cares? I get it. But like at the same time, if you had T.J. Miller there the whole time, cracking jokes and being funny, and I don't know. I think the movie would have been better.
You just love your T.J. Miller.
Well, at least it would have been better than just this sort of blank slate that was there.
Generic
the whole time,
Mick Beefcake.
Yeah, or Lucky Charms as Mark Wahlberg.
That's right. Hey, your name is Lucky Charms, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, that actor's name is Jack Rayner, and he is 22.
22. But and he may be a very good actor. I have no idea. Like, he's just given absolutely nothing to do or work with. So. Well,
I don't know about you, but I'm shocked and dismayed that the human actors don't have worthy dialogue in a Transformers movie. I don't know.
And that's why I said at the very, very beginning of the show, I have no idea how to review this movie, because it's you can't criticize it.
Yeah, it truly is a critic-proof movie. And again, I've been taking grief because I've gotten angry emails from people who were really upset with me for giving this movie a decent review. I ended up giving it a B, and that B was in the context of like, well, it's better than I was led to expect these Transformers movies are going to be. That's not to say I have any desire to watch it again or anything like that, but for what it is,
Yeah, I mean, well, I'd give it like a C or something, or a C plus maybe. But like, I think imagine it this way. You take one of those like Sci-Fi Channel movies, or like one of those direct-to-DVD rip-offs. Whenever like a huge movie comes out, then the like rip-off version comes out on DVD. Like
Transmorphers.
Transmorphers, yeah. I feel like this is like one of those sort of like C-list scripts directed by an A director.
Okay.
That's what this movie is.
Here's my question. Now Michael Bay said he was done after the third one.
Right. Yeah.
And then he came back. Do you think he'll come back for the fifth one?
Probably.
Yeah.
And frankly, you know what? If that's what these movies are going to be, then who else could do this? I mean, this is what he does. He's good at this.
I was about to say, if you're Paramount, you give him whatever he wants.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because he's given you 4 hits one after the other. Like, not one of these movies. I mean, say what you will about them from a qualitative level. These are gigantic.
Yeah.
And Shia LaBeouf was not the magic ingredient. So if you're Paramount, you're thinking Michael Bay is.
Yeah, still going strong. And you know what? Yeah, I mean, there are a few other directors that can do what he's doing here. You know what I mean? Like this enormous scale destruction.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it is fun. So, yeah, if that's what they still want out of these movies, I think that's why people are going for this large scale craziness. Yeah. So,
I mean, you can't deny whether it made 100 million or 97 million. It's the biggest opening of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's intriguing to me, only in the sense that it says that there isn't. What I've found is that by the time we get to the 4th installment, fatigue starts to set in.
Typically, you mean?
Yeah, Batman and Robin, and that's the one that jumps to mind. Spider-Man, to some extent,
Sure.
And yet here we are, and it's doing just as well as the other movies. I mean, again, quality to the side. That's interesting to me.
Well, that is interesting now that you bring up Spider-Man, because Sony thought they had a $1 billion movie on their hands. And it's Spider-Man. Everybody loves Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they worked really hard. They have good actors.
It limped and squeezed its way to $200 million.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Even Godzilla, by the way, Godzilla is just under $200 million, and it may not even hit that.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be, if that were to be the case, it would be the first movie to open to greater than $90 million and not make $200 million at the box office.
The first?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
To open higher than 90 million and not make it to 200.
Interesting.
Right? Because that's like barely doubling its. Because it used to be that you triple your opening weekend. That's really no longer the case, it seems like.
Yeah.
Now they're doubling it, maybe.
Yeah. Which, just thinking of all this box office stuff, if you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, go see it. Seriously, it bums me out that movie is performing so poorly.
Well,
it so does not deserve it.
And also How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yeah, which I haven't seen, but I such great reviews. I know you liked it. It's these good movies. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah, and this July is kind of interesting because other than Planet of the Apes in a few weeks, there's no other big releases.
Yeah, I mean, I know Guardians of the Galaxy is coming up, and
that's August.
I'm like super excited about it. I'm more like, I hope that's really good because it feels like it should be. But other than Planet of the Apes, all I can think of is Boyhood, and then otherwise, like, I don't know what movie I'm looking forward to.
I think Sex Tape comes out this month. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That feels odd to me. Like, usually July is very packed.
Yeah.
But regardless, Transformers we're kind of on the fence about, but there will be another one. We can be assured of that. So I'm sure we'll be back in a few years to talk about that one once that's out. Kind of interesting. I think this is the most we've diverged from each other when we've talked up the new release. Even though we're basically on the same page, but I think there were some areas I just liked more about this movie than you did, and vice versa.
For sure, yeah, and it's such a hard one for me to review. I hate even saying that word, but like if people know what they're gonna get, and if that's what they're interested in, they're gonna enjoy it, and that's cool. But for me, it just feels like it's busy and movies are expensive, and it's like you want to see something that's like worth your whatever. And like for me, I probably wouldn't have seen it if not for this show.
Right, and I'm glad
probably
you did.
Been fine.
You know what it is? It's like reviewing Batman the Ride at Six Flags.
If it was 2 hours and 40 minutes long.
Well, and only in the sense that, it's the same way where you're like, well, roller coasters are driven by your personal preference.
Yeah.
Like Batman the Ride. Well, if you enjoy having your legs dangling in the open air, then that's your thing. But if that's something that you just don't like, then you're not going to ever be convinced.
Right.
I think a Michael Bay Transformers movie, 4 movies in, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
If you have an inclination towards Transformers, I think you'll find something to enjoy. If this is not something even remotely up your alley, you're not going to suddenly have your mind changed.
Right. Agreed.
So with that, why don't we go ahead and wrap things up here? Brian, where can people find you online?
At everythingbrian.blogspot.com, Brian with an I, and I'm on Twitter that I don't use at everythingbrian.
Or more specifically, at nothingbrian.
At nothingbrian, yeah.
And as of now, Brian's tweet tally is at 1. He has that one tweet. So.
And my tweet is this thing on?
Yeah.
That's it.
So we're very excited about that. You already mentioned your website, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you can find us at moviefilmpodcast.com and also at facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. And as for me, you can find me at zakiscorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. And also at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews go up every week or every other week or whenever there's a big release out. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Zaki's Corner. Unlike Brian, I tweet fairly often. I have several thousand tweets up, of which 2 or 3 are actually pretty insightful, so do check those out. In our next episode, we're going to have an ape-centric conversation. I'm looking forward to talking Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and we'll also get into, hopefully, some of the other movies in the Ape series, just because I don't ever get to talk about those, so this is a fun chance to do that. And we'll also have my interview with Matt Reeves, as well as hopefully some other people involved in the Apes production. So lots of fun stuff. We're looking forward to doing that next time. And Sean Coyle will probably be out for another couple of weeks, but what the hell, we've gotten used to not having him around. So hopefully he does come back sooner rather than later. We're looking forward to having him back.
Yeah.
On behalf of the absent Sean Coyle and my good friend Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This is episode 50 of the Movie Film Podcast. Thank you for making it a great 50 episodes, and we hope to be here all the way through the next 50 and beyond. Thank you for listening. We sincerely appreciate it, and please do leave us a comment on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio. Leave us a review, leave us a star rating. Every little bit helps, and tell your friends. Tell your friends. It's a fun time, and we hope to have them along. This is the Movie Film Podcast. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Welcome